Hey there, welcome to Wednesday Night Live on Healing Through Your Story. I'm Leslie Karen Hammond, your hostess, known as the Empowering Story Whisperer. And today is a topic, well, it's about friction. Like, do you have friction in your life, or do you ever find that things don't tend to go smoothly? Well, it never fails that whatever the topic is for the week, I find that I'm living part of it, just so that I can bring you something that's real. Gotta love the way the universe works. But the topic this week is about, like friction and what we can do with it. So why this Facebook Live, and why is it important to bring you this information? Because ultimately, if you feel inspired to do something that's just a little bit uncomfortable for the sake of growing spiritually or emotionally or mentally, then my work is done and the mission is complete. The reason it is so important for you to entertain doing some of these things that you really don't like to do, like dealing with friction. It's something that comes up all the time, whether it's in life or in business. Is if you can look at it as an invitation, see it as an invitation for what it is, then you might sleep better. You might be just a little bit less stressed. And if nothing else, it'll make for a great story a few weeks or a few years down the road. And you'll be able to look back at in hindsight and say, holy smokes, really went through a lot there and I really learned something. So you can pass that along. Chalk it up to wisdom. So this topic about friction, and sometimes when you just feel like you can't get a flippin' break. So as I mentioned, there's usually something that happens, in my household under this roof that directly pertains to the topic of the week. And I had to tell you, it is truly a blessing from the internet wireless gods of Frontier, who I have my service with, that I'm able to come to you live from this house today, because I just got a week-long internet problem fixed today. 5 repairmen, 3 routers, and 7 days later. Today we got the problem fixed. So talk about friction. Here I have this plan of the way that I write something, every week. So I've got a blog post that I send out, and then, there's all this back end tech stuff that goes along with it. And then there's the Facebook Live, and then there's this awesome free gift that complements the content for the blog and for the Facebook Live. And so I haven't gotten to the point where I'm like really ahead of the game. If you are, trying to do your own thing and get your own stuff out in the world, you know what it's like to have a lot of different things on your plate and you can only do so much. So I haven't gotten to the point yet where I'm really ahead of the game. And just when I thought I was making a little bit of progress, can you relate? Anything ever happens in your life and you feel like you're making a little bit of progress, and then all of a sudden, wham, something happens. The universe strikes again. Well, that was the deal with the flippant internet. And I suppose I should speak nicely and be gracious and grateful for the fact that I have it back. But trying to get things done when you are constantly up against something. So, friction for you could be something, like sandpaper, a lot of people might think of, or a cheese grater. But friction is something that, ultimately, over time, when you can embrace it, will produce something beautiful. Something good will come out of it once you learn how to, I want to say manipulate, but we'll go with manage. So once you learn how to manage it, and use it for the tool that it is, you'll find that friction can be your friend. Now, I don't know about you. There may be some of you out there who really enjoy coming up against a hurdle or a challenge or a confrontation of one kind or another. That's the way that I've been operating for so many years. But you'd be surprised there are a lot of people out there who don't enjoy coming up against challenges. Well, hi there. Thank you for the thumbs up. And, I wish I could see who that came from, but thank you. I'm grateful. Oh, Paul and Jean. Hey, Paul and Jean. How are you? Oh, big hugs to you. I haven't seen you in a while. So thanks for joining us. We're talking about friction and when we really want things to go smoothly. And it's almost like one thing after another keeps popping up and the universe is just like, yeah, almost like feels like we're in a vice. And sometimes just want to shake the fist and say, geez, can a girl get a break? I'm doing the work. And then more stuff comes and more stuff comes. Well, if you are anything like me, maybe you enjoy just a little. Yeah. Ain't that the truth? Yeah, Paula says, love it. Well, if you're anything like me, I embrace, and I say this kind of tongue-in-cheek and with a disclaimer that if you go with this mindset, be careful what you ask for. But I tend to embrace those things that come and just like pow, or push me up against a wall, or feel like pressure, because I learn from them. And just to reinforce that no matter what the topic is for the week, I always, and I'm sure that I manifest this, but it's cool, it's okay that I do, but I always seem to manifest my own lesson within it. So for example, so some of you may have caught or not caught that today was day 7 of a monumental internet problem that finally got fixed. And so I would have to go out and go into a cafe or something to work and have good internet. Well, I was working on the blog post that complements this video, and it was about friction. And here I'm typing, and I'm directly experiencing something with my husband. And boy, I'll tell you, I just wanted to, it was like every hair in the back of my neck went up. I was getting really upset. I wanted to run away from the situation. But fortunately, over the years, I've learned to develop the tool of observation, meaning that I was feeling what I was feeling, but at the same time, I could look and observe and see what I was going through and then have one of those, whoa, do you see what you're doing kind of moments? So let me put this into context for you. The topic is like friction and how to manage that. And as a lot of solopreneurs, we need help with things in our business. So I had a discussion with my husband about how he could help me. And he proceeded to take on the task, and he just like takes the ball and he runs with it. And what I encountered was him doing things in a different way than I would have done it. And my manager mode started to kick in. And so we're sitting across from each other at the table, and he's asking me, some questions pertaining to what I wanted. And I'm thinking, but that's not the way I would do it. That's not the way I would write it. Let me see it. Let me tweak it. Let me make it mine. And bless him, he's so patient. I could tell he was getting a little bit upset. And then I realized exactly what I was doing. So if you've ever worked with or for anyone who is such a control freak, oh God, yeah, that was totally like an in-my-face moment about needing to have control. So you know what it's like when you want the freedom to do something and then you have this manager or this person that's looking over you that gives you a task but won't let you do it the way that you feel it can be done. And so that's what I was observing with him. And as a course of going through that exercise, I had realized I shouldn't care how he gets it done as long as he gets it done. Because truth be told, he was outsourcing it to someone else because of the details that he didn't want to deal with. Should I care how it got done? No, I shouldn't care because he's getting it done. And it's helping, him to be more effective in helping me. But seeing that need for control and then seeing, and this was like monumental, and I'm still working through this. He was treating me as a higher level entrepreneur than I was seeing myself. he was inviting me to really look into a much bigger picture, and for whatever reason, I was fighting it. Maybe it was a spiritual thing, certainly an emotional thing, partly a mental thing. And I was just like, ugh, I don't, he's pushing me. And then I started to go into like my creative type that wants to be soft and gentle and make sure everyone feels good and like everything's got to feel right. And his, all of his experience in corporate was like starting to kick in, like, let's get this done. And I got to tell you, holy crow, it was really uncomfortable. But as soon as I saw it for what it was, speaking of crow, I was able to say, you know what? I see what I'm doing. Thank you for being patient with me. And thank you for doing this. And I asked him to please understand, I can recognize the behaviors I have that are limited, almost like a limiting belief kind of thing. And I just asked him to be patient, because if I'm doing something that is not in line with where I want to go or the kind of entrepreneur I want to be, and I'm blessed enough to have him point it out, usually that's one of those in your face moments, or in my face moment, shall I say, and I'm really not open to it right off the bat. It takes me a little while to get on the bandwagon and just play along. But once I do, it's a completely different story. So between the internet and this like aha moment with that, those are a couple of ways that you can see how friction might serve you well. Take a look at exfoliation when you go to the spa or you get a facial and they rub salt or sugar or other things on your face and they take off the layer of dead skin. And what happens afterwards? Granted, your face will be a little bit red, but you have this beautiful glow that happens afterwards. So the exfoliation, it proved a good thing. Something good came out of it. And I mean, you don't need to take a look any further rather than your kitchen cupboards or a woodworker's shop to see where there's a lot of specific tools out there to learn how to use friction to your benefit. Grating Parmesan cheese to put in a little olive oil, or grating vegetables. You need the friction of the grater against the vegetable or the cheese in order to produce the effect you want. Just like with wood, we talked about sandpaper before, or with a lathe or anything that will manipulate something in its raw form to get it to produce the kind of finish or quality that you want. Take a look at gym equipment. That produces, that invites friction, and you can see the result in what happens to your body. So for managing friction for something tangible, something you can wrap your hands around, there's all kinds of tools for that. But what happens when it comes to managing the emotional friction or the mental friction? It's not like you can go put your hand on something. Well, granted, some people do, meaning like they might turn to unhealthy behavior, whether, that be alcohol, drugs, or what have you. But most of us could use another tool in our tool bag to help us manage that emotional or mental or spiritual friction. Because sometimes if it catches us off guard, look at the chaos that can create in one's life if you don't have the right tools to be able to manage it. So here's a suggestion. The next time that you feel like you're coming up against a wall is to take a look at whether or not this is something you could learn from. So prime example is if you find the same thing keeps coming back again and again and again. Like in some of my earlier trainings, when I was doing shamanic studies with some folks in the States and also in South America, and there would be this exercise where we would, what they called take something to the fire. So it's something that you wanted to release and let go of. And there were times when I was taking the same darn thing to the fire, time after time after time. And I would get frustrated because I kept thinking, I thought I let this go. I thought I let this go. What's up with this? Why does it keep showing up? And what's occurred to me over the years is that it may keep showing up, but initially it may be wearing a different mask. So I don't always recognize it. But ultimately, it's the same underlying problem. So the universe just provides all of these different perspectives so that since I didn't recognize it the last time, maybe I'll see it this time. So if you notice a challenge that keeps coming back around and keeps coming back around, then it's an invitation to take a deeper look. And one of the things that, especially if you're having friction with another person, and whether there was an argument or whether you sense that a confrontation will happen if you engage with them in any shape or form, one of the things I've found most valuable is, well, to recognize what my part in it is. Excuse me. Oh, isn't that funny? Something coming up with the throat. I wonder if that means I need to engage in a conversation with someone. But it's to be able to recognize things and see them for what they are. And every time that you get triggered by something, there is work to be done. And I'm going to be really upfront with you here that I haven't met a person yet who has absolutely cleared up every karma thing they ever had and doesn't have anything to work on. I hate to be the bearer of perhaps uncomfortable news, but it doesn't matter who you are. You will always have things to work on. Hey, Wendy, how are you? Thanks for joining us. So we're talking about friction and how to deal with that in life. And right now it is about an invitation when the same thing keeps showing up. And a lot of times, when something appears and we do a little bit of work on it, maybe we think we come to terms with it, and then we find it comes back yet again, that's probably because we just took care of the surfacey stuff. Here's a prime example. You get a splinter and you take off the biggest piece of the splinter and you don't see the underlying piece. In fact, ironically, on my middle finger, I have something just like that that's happening. I only got part of the splinter out. And then the little piece that's left in there, it will fester and it will become very sore. And when you bypass an invitation to directly work on something that keeps showing up that you would much rather avoid, then you're going to have like that little splinter piece that's in my finger that I haven't gotten out yet. You're going to have this little thing under the skin that's going to remain tender. Time may go by, even to the point where you forget about it, but all it takes, and we'll go with the finger for example, so all it takes is if this particular spot gets hit, gets tapped, I touch or smack something, then all of a sudden, woohoo, I'm going to be in potentially a lot of pain. Well, the same thing applies when you don't directly contend with some point of friction that keeps showing up in your life. I can't stress enough that it's an invitation to take a look at things from a different perspective. The whole purpose of doing all of these Facebook Lives every week, and sometimes you may find that a little thing overlaps here and there, but it's to keep coming at something from a different angle to invite you to adopt a different perspective. So if by the end of listening to this, you are willing to do one uncomfortable thing for the sake of personal growth, then my mission is complete, because we all need to do that to really get to get to be the person that we want to be, the wife, the sister, the lover, the brother, the mother, the entrepreneur. I mean, we need to clear away as much of the garbage as possible to make room for the light, to make room for the love, to make room for the possibilities. And the more that you think you can sweep something under the carpet, then the more it's going to come back like this little splinter underneath the finger, and it's just going to fester. Hey, Jennifer, thanks for joining. Right now, so the topic for the day is friction, and we're talking about when there's friction in your life, and you bypass the invitation to work on something, and how it's just going to create this underlying problem that will keep coming back if it's not addressed. So I made this commitment in the new year, and I think there's only been a couple of weeks that I haven't kept it. So I tend not to do the diet thing or any of that. For me, it tends to be like deep and emotional. So I made a commitment to my husband that whenever there was something on my mind, on my heart that was bugging me, even if it was uncomfortable, that I would engage in the conversation and I would tell him what was bothering me. And in my first marriage, that wasn't an easy thing to do. Is it uncomfortable? You bet it is. Sometimes do I feel like I'd rather squirm and run in the other direction? Absolutely. But do I do it anyway? Yes, I do. So when you have stuff that comes up, I mean, if this is kind of a new thing for you and you're not used to like diving into intense emotional, spiritual, or mental challenges, then, by all means, don't sacrifice yourself and, to be nailed on the cross. Take it slow. Take it like one step at a time. And before I forget, and let me just check the time here because I always want to make sure I'm mindful of time. Okay. I want to make sure that you know there is a gift that goes along with every Facebook Live that offers you some tools that complements what the discussion was here today. So if you go on to LeslieKarenHammond.com/4, and let me just make sure I get it right. Keep your cool. So LeslieKarenHammond.com/4, keep your cool. There will be 3 secrets to helping you keep your cool when the friction comes and you feel like you're ready to just like flip and explode. Because the poor lady that first took my call about the internet problem, obviously, I didn't follow those things, and I just blew up at her. I'm ashamed. I should probably apologize. But these tips will help you to keep your cool when you are encountering states of friction. So if there's nothing else that you take from this today, it's please view whenever you come up against resistance for something, take a look at it as an opportunity to explore something that's going on in you. Because when you get triggered, it's an emotional response. Sometimes it's very visceral. Sometimes it's unconscious. You don't know why you're reacting this way, but you can't help yourself. It's this like automatic thing that just happens. So when that occurs, that's an invitation to do some work. Take some deep dives and explore things that are going on in you. Until I take my last breath, I will always have things to work on, because regardless of how much work you do, you're always transforming. You're always becoming a stronger person, a more empathic person, perhaps a more intuitive person. You're building all of these tools and all this wisdom as you get older. And then you get to, this new place, and then the challenges, they get a little bigger. So you've built some tools to be able to work through things, and then something new comes along to help you develop your skills even further. Some people, they don't get on that ride, and they just like to smooth sail through things and just, go through life with blinders and be completely oblivious. And you know what? if that's how they need to lead their life, then more power to them. I know that I have enough of my own stuff going on that I got no business diving into somebody else's unless there's an invitation and someone asks me for help. And I'd have to say that one of the biggest privileges of working with people is watching that transformation. But, all right, let me see, I'm checking my time here. All right. So the invitation for you again is I would love, love, love for you to take a deeper look into the next thing that comes up, where it may seem like it's a really surfacey problem, but if it triggers a response in you that you have to kind of say, ooh, wow, did I just say that? Did I just do that? Did I just behave that way? Take a look and see if you can figure out what's going on. Because there's always, it's almost like the universe is presenting this silver platter with an engraved invitation on you every time that this like boatload of crap starts rolling down a hill and you get caught in it. It's like, here you go. Take a look at this. Here you go. Take a look at this. And the better that you get at managing it, and the better you get at seeing it for what it really is, a tool, for personal development, a tool for growth, then the less stress you'll have, the less reactive you'll be, the more grateful you'll be for every experience. And for those of you who see clients, well, you've experienced how when you get one client that needs something, that then there tends to be a whole mess of them that come along with the same thing. And it's no coincidence that it's something that's probably pretty recent in your life that you've worked your way through, or it's something you're in the middle of working your way through. So when you can take this and embrace it and really, really use it for what it's worth, then boy, sister, or brother, if you're out there, you're on the right track. You're on the right track. So I really hope that you enjoyed what you heard tonight, and the replay is going to be here. So I welcome you to go back in, and this is the 4th episode, so you can go back in and check the other previous 3. So all of these Facebook Lives are going to be on the business page, Healing Through Your Story. And if you like to read, you can always go to lesliekarenhammond.com/blog, and you can read the written version that preceded all of this. And, if you're really progressive, then on Tuesdays you can read the blog, and then Wednesdays you can hop on the Facebook Live and you can catch the discussion around the blog topic. And, I'll be coming to you weekly for quite some time now. And every week there's going to be an awesome gift that complements whatever the blog and the Facebook Live was, so that you can take these teachings, and even if you just take a little bit, and incorporate it into your daily routine or whenever something comes up. So to get the gift that complements this, go to lesliekarenhammond.com/4 keep your cool. So these are tips around how to keep your cool when the friction is like really rough and you just would much rather run the other way, because I know that you have a lot of amazing work to do in the world. And the more you can show up in all your glory and in all your beauty, the better that you will be able to serve your clients, your families, and your communities. I believe in you and what you do. I have so much respect for you showing up here and for you doing your own work in the world. If you happen to be in southeastern Connecticut and you'd like an opportunity to hang out in this gorgeous room I'm sitting in, which you can't see is the 10-pelt sheepskin rug I'm sitting on, then I invite you to come and join me. There are events here twice a month. So one Saturday night we have a fire ceremony, and then on the last Thursday of every month, which happens to be tomorrow, we have a Dancing Spirit Women's Circle, which is a 2-hour gathering from 6:30 to 8:30 of absolutely amazing women working in a spiritual, or playing in a spiritual space. So that's all for this week. I am so grateful that you were here. Lots of love and light, and I'll see you next week All right. Bye for now.